So
Okay.
hello and welcome. My name's Leanne, Peard, social media specialist and founder of the Social Media Mate. So obviously I spend a lot of time on the internet, and I also love to interview people that are in business and share their story. And it gives me goosebumps actually as I say this, that I was in one of the Facebook groups and I actually saw Angie mention that she was paid by her son. And I went, wow, what a great story. So I reached out to Angie, who told me that her son is called the Kid CEO, and he is, how old, Angie? 5?
Six.
Six
Yes.
years old, and he has just launched a book. So I was beside myself to discover or to listen to the story about how this happened. So today I'd like to welcome Angie. She's from California, so the other side of the world. She's rugged up and I'm sitting here hot. But welcome, Angie, to today's show.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So Angie, tell us, how did this happen? So did your son just wake up one day and say, Mum, I'm going to write a book and employ you, or what happened?
I wish it was that easy. So what happened was I started linking up with a group, with a mastermind headed by my mentor, and we would do business calls every Saturday. We would do our Zoom meetings, and we would talk and we would work things out. And for years, people have told me, starting about almost 5 years ago, people started telling me, you should write a book, you should write a book. And all of a sudden, one day I woke up and I'm like, I've always said no. And I'm like, one day I woke up and I'm like, I want to write a book.
Yes.
So we were talking about that. And so he would hear me talk about my plans on writing a book, about my story. And this started in about April. And in June, he was talking to my mom and he was like, I'm going to write a book. And she was like, well, what do you want to write a book about? And he was like, well, Spider-Man. And she's like, well, that story's already been taken. You're going to write a book, you have to go ahead and write it about yourself or something unique. He goes, all right. So he thought about it. He was like, okay, well, I'm going to write about how I started making better decisions. And so my mom was like, all right. So I came home and it happened to be, it was a Friday. And I came home and it was like almost the last week of school. So I came home that Friday from work and she was like, oh, your son wants to write a book. You're going to talk about it and work on it this week. And I was like, what? So he wanted to give his book to his teacher as a thank you for helping him through his kindergarten year, because he started off really rough, like getting into a lot of trouble and just having all these behaviors. And by the end of the school year, he was like, I'm 100. I'm like, I'd come home and I'd be like, how did you do today? He'd be like, I did 151%. I did 2,000%. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. So he wanted to write this book as a thank you to his teacher. And so we went ahead and we did like a little rough draft. He did his stick figures and everything. And we did it that weekend. And by, I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday, he presented it to his teacher. And she was surprised. So I'm a therapist by trade. I'm a mental health therapist. So I was like, okay, well, that was that. And I didn't think anything of it at all. Like, that's where I was going to leave it at. But I was so proud of him and this accomplishment that I took it to the psychiatrist I work with. And she was like, this needs to be a book. And I was like, what? I was like, no way. I was like, so then I brought it to the group on Saturday. And they're like, no, he needs to make it a book. I'm like, okay. Now summer vacation is here. And so we spent all of summer really breaking it down. Like, okay, like it was just like a quick little page turner, like 8 pages of stick figures, and that was it. So we took the summer, and the beginning, we started school in August, and it took us August, September, and by October, it went to the publishers. And by the end of October, before I went on my trip to Hawaii, my mastermind trip, it was all sent to the publishers. So,
how cool is that?
Yeah, so and I'm still barely like halfway through my book, and he's done. I step aside to go ahead and help him because, it was a lot. And the stick figures are no longer stick figures. He's only 6 years old. he has, he's really hyper, and he's that hyper kid. And so getting him to sit down and really focus and color a whole picture was a lot of work. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to take away his freedom, but I wanted him to learn the importance of, when you want to do something, you really have to put in that dedication despite wanting to go out and go do the fun things. There's a sacrifice that comes.
Awesome. And, I know your son's only 6, but does he know the extent of the amazing things that his book will do, if not for other kids, but even for parents?
So that's what his goal is. So he's really insightful, and I kind of hold him on this level of you can help people, and that's his goal. He doesn't want other kids to suffer what he's gone through. And to sit there, and he wants them to learn. And it wasn't just about his experience. He talks about his experience, how people helped him. So what I've done for him, the things I taught him, the things that his school counselor taught him, the things that his teacher did for him. And he puts that all together to sit there and show kids, like, if I started out this way and I ended up like this, then anybody could do it. But it's that whole it takes a village thing, but he uses that in his book and shows everybody working together. So
amazing. And the book's launched. You can now buy it, can't you?
Yeah, so it's in pre-sales now. And actually sitting down and talking to him, because I want him to be part of this whole entire process. So, we live in California, and, everywhere that we go, a lot of places that we go, when you always there's people outside that are homeless. And so he feels bad, and it's cold outside. So after talking to him, and after him talking to my mom for a little bit, he has now decided that he wants to link to a foundation to help the homeless. He's been talking about giving away, well, in his brain, he's going to give away all his money. I'm like, that's not how it works. He doesn't understand the concepts of percentages yet. So, getting him to sit there and understand, okay, we could give away this much, and we still have to keep this much. And then, so what we're talking about now is, I want to find an organization that he could link with to help feed the homeless. And then at the same time, he eventually wants to start his own profit, his own organization, to go ahead and help the underprivileged here, because it's not just the homeless. He wants to help a bunch of people. He wants to help kids that don't have anything, so he doesn't have a dad. So he wants to help kids that are struggling, and he wants to make it easier for them, because he knows he's pretty fortunate as a kid. And he just wants to help those that don't have a whole lot. So, but he wants to start with the homeless first.
Yeah.
So right now I'm in the midst of researching different homeless organizations, and then I'll be linking the book, and part of the proceeds will go to that. So the book is in pre-sales now, and he'll turn 7 in January. So most likely, depending on when we get the book in and how much time I have, because the first shipment is the only shipment right now that I'm going to have him autograph. Only because he's 6.
Yeah.
And, for kids to go ahead and autograph thousands of books. So, so right now, most likely the hard release date will be probably in January, but we're in pre-sales right now. So you could go onto his website and order them now.
And the website's just thekidceo, isn't it? .com?
Yes, www.thekidceo.com.
Awesome. Honestly, I've got tears swelling up in my eyes. It's just absolutely beautiful to think that he's doing that. And you must be so proud, Angie, as a mum.
I am. I'm super proud of him. And it's hard for me not to cry every time I talk about it, because his spirit is a spirit of gold. He's gone through so much, especially lately. And those that follow me on Facebook would know that recently he had a traumatic brain injury. So he ended up falling. He got hit really bad. And it changed and it impacted him a lot. And he, for a little bit, because, concussions, when they hit, they affect a lot of your behaviors. And so for him to sit there and want to do all these good things, and then him to not have control of some of the behaviors again that he thought he had control of, was really hard for him. So we're slowly getting back into him being able to like get back in control of the behaviors that, sorry, I have like a hair on my face. Hold on. That's what happens when you have long hair.
Yeah.
So, you know, getting him to be able to get back in control of his behaviors and him having to be like, I'm strong and I was able to show all these kids all these things, and then he's having a hard time because of this unfortunate accident that he went through. He's still persevering and he still has that goal to want to help kids. And he's like, okay, Mom, what other things can I use to help control my anger? Other than what's in my book, what can I use? And we sit down and we still talk about it. And he's like, okay, good. So.
And it's lovely, you know, because when you're saying that, I'm just thinking as an adult, because it's quite easy to pull this apart as an adult, but for a child, you know, like really all he's doing is just being authentic, isn't he? And, you know, as adults, we change our behaviors and then we can fall back. It's just a matter of just picking ourselves up and going and saying, well, how do I do this again? It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And he, you know, I really do like love him so much. Like he's overcome so much, and for him to always want to think about, it's not just about me. And you know, he is the kid that can have every reason in the world to want to be angry at the world, and he doesn't have any of those reasons. He just wants to help. So I love it.
Yeah, and I'm covered in goosebumps again. It's just such a beautiful story.
You're making me cry.
Stop it. We'll have to cut and start again. No, it's just it's so inspiring, you know, and it's so heartfelt, and it's so lovely that you helped him create the book. You know, like, geez, you know, it's just nice to know that there's parents out there that go, well, hey, honey, you know, how do we do this, whatever this is, and then it becomes something even bigger that will actually impact on so many people around the world, not just now, but, you know, for years to come.
Yes, and he definitely has more that he wants to talk about. He wants to talk about growing up without a dad, you know, what it was like not to have a dad and having to sit there and deal with the grief and the understanding of that. He wants to talk about, you know, how sometimes, you know, things happen in life. Like we've sat down and we've talked, and he has about at least 3 or 4 other book ideas that he wants to start rolling out. But I've already told him we have to work on one first. Let's focus on one, and then we'll work on another one. And so I think from now on, this might even be a summer project for him.
Yeah.
So, because every time he's always like, okay, Mom, I want to do this. And I'm like, let's wait first. You know, you know, I'm glad you want to do all these things, but we have to sometimes sit and focus. And that's hard to sit there and be like honing in a little 6-year-old who wants to take over the world, you know, because he wants to do it with love, and he wants to share his views and, you know, share what he's learning. He wants to share it with the world because he doesn't want anybody hurt.
Oh, lovely story. So obviously we can buy it now. So those people will pre-order it, I should say. People that are watching this video can pre-order the book, thekidsceo.com. Absolutely amazing story, and an absolute credit to Angie and your parenting and the love and devotion that you have for your little boy, because he's still only 6. So it's really, really good. So Angie, just to digress for one moment, your book, what's your book about?
So my book, I'm working on my personal book, and then I had a hard time working on my book because it involved so much emotional pull. And so I wanted to do a workaround and do a second book. And so I'm currently co-authoring another book about self-love right now and healing. So I'm working on that. I'm currently writing that one. And then I'm also working on co-authoring another book. And I'm working on that with the mastermind group that I was working with on success and how you persevere and how success happens, and, you know, the trials and the tribulations of success to get from where you are now to get to where you want to be. But my personal book, the one that started off, was, so I have been with his father off and on since I was in high school. And through that, So he ended up dying. He was murdered by another. He ended up getting murdered, and he ended up doing drugs, hanging out with the wrong people, and he was murdered by somebody he knew. So I will be talking about pretty much the process I had to go through, because through all of this, it wasn't just me. I'm paramilitary. Ended up becoming a single mom. We owned a business, but because we weren't technically married, his business partners pretty much cut me out of the business. Didn't give anything to my kids. So I had to go from being a grad student who was in my master's program, being a single mom, a stay-at-home wife, pretty much, to now having to learn how to deal with the grief, deal with all the things that were coming up that I had no idea were even going on, even though I kind of speculated some of this stuff. And then learning how to process and deal with my grief, along with raising my kids and, trying to just live life and stay above life. So through that, I learned a lot of it was self-love, but I talk about the other things I've also used in order to sit there and get back on top, because at a point I just wanted to die. So, so that's what my book is about.
Well, thank you for sharing. You've got me teary-eyed again. Thank you so much. You're an absolute angel. Really, you are. And, we all go through stuff in our life, but to go through the stuff that you have and then to raise amazing children that still have so much love and gratitude for the world is just, it's honestly a privilege to sit here and chat to you. So I really do thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I have an amazing support group of friends. My friends have become my family, and I think more than anything, I have learned that, through this, it wasn't your friends, are your blood, yes, but your family is who you make it to be. And my friends, especially this close support group now, I learned that, they're more than supporting, and they have helped me out so much. And sometimes you just need that emotional support, and that's what they are. My son, his dad's from Hawaii. He was raised in Hawaii. He has a lot of Hawaiian, that heritage in him. And, they believe in Ohana. And that's truly what they have become, my Ohana. And so I absolutely love them. And it's really important to know that you can really persevere through anything as long as you're dedicated to it. You just have to find your why. And through the process of all of this, I have really found my why. So, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Again, I'm absolutely speechless. I think, as I said, we all go through stuff, but to see what you've done and what you've experienced and what you're doing with your children and your son is just so inspirational. It really, really, really is. So I'm looking forward to reading your son's book, and I'm also looking forward to reading your story. So make sure that you let us know when that book's being launched so we can all jump on and buy a copy of that.
Yes, I definitely will. I'm looking at trying to finish it all by March. That's my soft deadline for me, but because it is filled with emotion, I'm not going to push myself. But that's also why I reverse engineered it to myself. And that's why I went the back end to do the self-love, because even as we're talking about self-love, and, me and my co-author, we get together every other Friday, and we literally lock ourselves down and we write together. And it's a tear fest for both of us.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, even though I've healed a lot, I think there's always that stuff where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go through this. And the tears are so cleansing for me. And so as hard as it is to put it all out there, it is so refreshing afterwards. I'm like, I'm good. So even if my self-love book comes out first, it's okay, because it's a process and it's okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing, because it's a ripple effect. You know, we don't know how many other people we touch. You know, and sharing our story can just change somebody's life. You know, immediately. So yeah, good on you. It's yeah, so inspirational.
Thank you. Thank you so
Mm.
much.
So, Angie, before we run away again tonight for you and let you get off to bed, is there anything else that you wanted to share about, you know, your son's book, your book, or anything that you wanted to share that I haven't actually asked you today or tonight?
Uh, For my son's book, I think it's, and I'll share like the very last piece. It was like his kind of like his PS piece, like his like PS by the way piece, but he has no idea what PS means. So the last page of it was, what would you like people to know about it? And his thing was, and I'll just tell you now because I feel it's really important, but it was to never give up. Like never give up, and you can always keep going. Like be strong, right? Because it really is about your inner strength. And sometimes we need, even though we have our inner strength, a lot of the times we need to get our outer strength. And it's okay to ask for help.
Mm.
And I think it's really important that when our kids do struggle, it's not just, if it was just me at here at home trying to figure everything out, he wouldn't have become as successful, or he wouldn't have been, successful in school. Or maybe he would have, but it might have taken a lot longer. So making sure that, it really does take a village to raise a kid. It does. And my son is that prime example that when the village comes together and they work to help a kid grow, how fruitful they become.
Yeah.
Many people don't see a 6-year-old, or they see my son because he's extremely hyperactive. They're like, he wrote a book, and I'm like, yes, because he knows at the same time, that he's had all these support systems along, and everywhere he goes, they're like, okay, remember, this is how we do this. Or he's like, okay, and he remembers, So but if it was just me at home, at school, it wouldn't have done any good. And if it was just them at school, it wouldn't have done any good at home. So taking a village and reaching out to that community, I know sometimes as parents, it's hard to reach out for help, but it's imperative to do it too.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely agree.
and then also my mentor, who I was working with, that was doing the mastermind with me, we're actually looking, and with my son's permission, we're actually going to start looking to do a kids empowerment movement. So it's not just me and him; it's what our plan is. And so, just to keep that on the lookout for, getting parents of kids and kids together on helping them learn what they want to do, what their strengths are, because I also have a 16-year-old, and even though she's late in the game, she wants to start her own body product line. So we're doing things like that too. We're in the process of trying to figure things out with her. So I'm working with her on the side. But we're looking at trying to help parents, like, okay, how do you shape your kid? Or what can you do? If I didn't have my friends and they're like, okay, like sit down, and I'm like, I wouldn't have known what to do. And I have them, thank God. And, and so we want to do a kids empowerment movement to help parents, to help their kids to learn how to do this. And then to help the kids to ask the parents and learn how to vocalize what they need or what they feel like they want or what their vision is. If it was just my son coming to me and telling me I want to do a book, well, great, we did our book back in June and you gave it to your teacher and all of that. But we had to sit down and talk collectively together. And even now, it's always a collective game. I never do anything without him or without his permission. And, whenever he feels like he needs something, like, wanting to change things up and be like, okay, Mom, I want to feed the homeless with my money, then it's, okay, like, what can we do and how can we do this? So it's always a collective game. It's never them and it's never the parent. But learning how to bridge that communication gap is important.
It's extremely important, and you are so right in regards to that, because I know I was trying to wrap it up, but I'll just quickly share that, I raised my two children are 26 and 23 now, and you know, everybody has their trials and tribulations, like you said, but I often say to them, we're great mates now, and I often say to them, what is it that I did right to create two amazing children that still want to hang out with me, you know? And they actually say to me, Mum, we never stopped communicating. You know, there was always the opportunity to talk. Even, you know, if we thought we were going to get in trouble, we'd write you a note, but there was always those doors of communication that were open. And I think that is so vital, especially for our kids, you know?
Yeah, it is. And it really is important, you know. For my daughter, her being a teenager, they don't want to come to me a lot. And so I often tell her, I didn't want her shutting me out. And I saw that happen to a lot of her friends. And as a therapist, and I work with teenagers and I work with kids, my biggest fear was my daughter shutting me out the way I've seen a lot of people, a lot of kids shut their parents out. So what we did is we created this like no judgment zone, to where if she feels like she really needs to reach out to me and she really needs to talk to somebody, she's able to come to me, talk to me, but she's able to say no judgment. No matter what she tells me, I can't get mad, or I can't punish her for it.
Yeah.
So, you know, but for my son, that's not going to work because he's 6. So, you know, communication both ways though is important, because I can't be an effective parent to my daughter, and I can't be an effective parent to my son if that communication line isn't open between both of them. But for each one, it's very different. She's very soft. She's very quiet. You know, she holds a lot of stuff in. So my communication style with her is going to be different than my son, who's like all over the place and is like, what? And like he says, he feels whatever he says at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really important, and learning that communication piece is extremely important. And I love that with my kids. And I just want to help other parents, and I want to help other kids, and my son wants to help other kids. So what other better way to do it than to do a kids empowerment movement? Not just only focusing on the kids, but focusing on the parents, and how do we bridge them and help them grow together, so we have a world of successful kids.
Absolutely. Good on you. Wow. I'm just, yeah, I can't wait to see the success everywhere, and the lives that you guys are going to change is just awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm still looking forward to it, because he really does. He talks about it all the time. Like, I want millions of kids to have my books. And I'm like, okay, like, we're going to get there. One day we're going to get there. Like, and you will. Like, every kid will have your book. And you know, because he really does. He just has this heart of gold, and he wants to help everybody. You know?
Yeah.
And there's a girl that he met, and she's 8. And she, like, started writing a book after she had met him. And so when we did his pre-sale launch, she so happened to be there. And he was like, I helped her want to write a book too. And I was like, you did help her. And so he feels so empowered, because he's only 6 years old, and he helped this 8-year-old little girl.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's
so
so cool.
Empowering. It really is. It's empowering. I love it. And just to see his little face like glow up, and him get so excited, like, I'm helping. That's amazing.
That's awesome. Thank you again. And thank you so much. As I said, to those of you that have been watching this, I reached out on social media because I just felt suddenly like I needed to know your story. And I'm truly blessed that you shared that with us here today. So thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on and giving me this opportunity to go ahead and share his story and my story.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.